Can you still buy houses at 70% or less of market value? The general rule of thumb for real estate investors has always been to purchase properties at 65 to 70% of the after repair value minus construction costs. My name is Jason Balin from Hard Money Bankers. I've been lending private capital over the last 20 years locally, and I've seen a lot of deals, done 4,000 of them. And I can tell you which deals work and which deals don't work. And it's typically the ones on the buy end. If you buy at a good price, you can certainly make money. And even in today's market in 2026, we still see a lot of opportunities. There's still deals out there to do so. So you don't have to skimp. You don't have to go up to 80, 85, 90%. If you do, you're going to lose money. I'm going to show a full example breakdown here in a second. But let me share my screen with you real quick so we can go through some of the hard numbers so you can kind of see what's up. So let's just use that 70% example that I started this with. So let's say you buy, or let's say the after repair value, the ARV of a property is $200,000. Now, based off, let me just put 70%. That's what we're going to base this off as in this particular case. So $200,000. Let's say using the 70% rule, you can pay a max of 70% minus construction costs. So 70% of 200 ends up being 140. And let's say the construction costs of the property, this is the ARV, the construction costs of the property are 40 grand. So that means 70% of 200 is 140. You minus out the 40,000 in renovations, and your max purchase price is $100,000. Now you might think, well, if the house is worth 200,000, who the heck's going to sell me a property for 100,000? Well, this is what a real estate investor has to pay for the property, because if they pay higher than that, they're not going to make money, potentially lose money. So there are obviously plenty of opportunities from distressed homeowners that this needs to happen. And again, at the end of this video, we're going to do a full example breakdown of what all the financing costs are and the holding costs and construction buy and selling costs. So you can see why this formula isn't just made up. It's important to go off of this. And I can assure you that I see it all the time. There's plenty of opportunities out there because this is the ARV, right? This is just what other super nice renovated houses in the neighborhood are selling for. Distressed houses or crappy houses, like this is kind of what the as is value is, right? This is just what the market rate is of what someone would have to buy this property for in order to potentially not just make money, but to have some built-in equity after they do all the sweat equity, or I'm sorry, the sweat labor costs in order to put the construction costs in order to make a profit. So in this particular example, some investors choose to adjust higher or lower the 70% number. I certainly wouldn't adjust higher if I were you, especially if you're a newer real estate investor. But here are some examples that maybe slightly it would make sense of. So for instance, comparing dollars and equity. So in nicer areas, think about this. Think about in the area that maybe you're located in general. Let me try to get okay, here we go. This might be better. A better view of this. An area that you might be located in. Like think about this. Are you in an area where the nicest house is worth $400,000? And then the crappiest house is worth $300,000. There's not a lot of margin in those areas. Or are you in an area that the nicest house is 400,000 and the crappiest house is 100,000? There's a huge margin. Typically, that's the difference between suburbia and the cities. Newer area houses, older area houses, newer area houses typically have less risk. There's just a lot less unknown. Older houses, as soon as you go in and you start renovating them, there's substantial amount of stuff that could go wrong, or substantial. There's just the construction costs are so much higher on something like that. So I would say if you're in an area that the crappiest house margin compared to the nicest house margin is slim, you might want to take a little bit more risk. And also keep in mind, let me bring up my handy pen on this next example. So let's say you're in an after repair value of, let's say, $400,000 compared to an after repair value of $200,000. So if you use the 70% rule for both of these, 70% of this is 140 70% of this is 280, right? And let's say they both have the same $40,000 construction budget, right? So that's 100 on that one, and that's 240 on this one. Now, I know there's obviously additional expenses, right? Financing costs, um, holding costs, buying costs, selling costs. I get all that. Let's just use gross profit in this particular case. We use the same 70% LTV, right? But in this particular case, there's $60,000 of gross profits available. And in this particular one, there's $120,000 of gross profit available, right? And that's between technically 160 if you include your construction costs, but let's take out construction costs. So that means you have $120,000 of room between buying costs, selling costs, holding costs, financing costs, whatever, and the profit that you have to make. So the point is we're still, if you look at on a percentage wise, these both have 30% equity, but because this is a higher dollar area, that 30% equity equates to double the amount of actual dollars and cents. And that's what we make money on, dollars and cents. So that's something to be taken in consideration when you're doing that. So typically the nicer areas have that ability to do that. Now, the majority of the real estate investors, and I encourage you to kind of understand this theory as well, is they work in the median housing price neighborhoods. Let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see that. They work in the median housing price neighborhoods, right? Not necessarily in the lower end areas, not necessarily in the higher end areas. There's opportunities in both, but most of these formulas work the best in median housing price neighborhoods. So it's important to understand in your area what that is. What other very key point, because this is kind of what a lot of naysayers will say on deals. Oh, well, I can't get financing on these deals, or I can't pay hard money rates on these deals. If the deal doesn't work using hard money lending or private lending or other types of other people's capital, the deal's probably not a good deal, right? Because most investors that pay all cash don't value their own money. And this is what I mean by that. I'm going to erase this. We're going to go through some of this stuff. They don't value their own money. So let's say you do a deal, and let's say you want to pay cash, and you do a deal. You're going to pay cash. It's a $200,000 deal. Like all the money you need is 200 grand. Let's say it's 130 in purchase price, 60 in renovations. You had buying costs, you had selling costs. You still have holding costs. You just don't have financing costs on this, right? And the construction took a lot longer than you thought. Blah 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 blah. This is just an example. And you make like a $10,000 profit, right? And that's on a $200,000 all-in deal. You make $10,000 profit, not a great profit in that case. And you think like, yeah, like that, let's say you were like, I'm going to buy this property, but I can't get financing on this property. Like there's just not enough room. I'm going to just use my own cash for it. Let me ask you, comment on this video. Do you think that's a good deal or a bad deal? You put up $200,000, you get $10,000 back. Let's just say it was a year. That's a 5% return. That's garbage, right? That's how much risk you took to flip a house, how much time it took to flip a house. That doesn't work, right? You got a 5% return on a $200,000 all-in deployed money that you needed. You made 10 grand. It's taxed as short-term capital gains, which is ordinary income to the most part. Like you can get a passive return with no risk, probably at a better return than that. Those numbers don't work, right? Let's say you make $20,000 on that deal, right? Let's say you put up 200 grand and you make 20 grand. You'd be like, okay, great. I put up 200 grand. I make 20 grand. That's great. I made a 10% return. Yeah, but that was an active return. That's not a passive return. There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of work. Your money has to work for you, but at the same time, like you gotta, there's risks. There's hard work. It takes time. You literally devoted everything to make that. Let's say you make $40,000 and you're like, oh, well, I made a 20% return, right? Well, you hard work made a 20% return. Your money didn't in that particular situation. So if you're going to pay all cash, you need to make sure that your money is getting a proper return. Give yourself a return on that money, but then also give your hard work and your time on some money. And I'll tell you, if a deal does not work with hard money, or if it doesn't work with private money or bank money, if the deal does not work that way, it's not going to work with your own cash. You got to structure your money and you got to take your own personal cash seriously in order for that to work. So let's do a full example breakdown of how numbers will shake out. I'm going to use 65%. I'm not even going to use 70%. I'm going to be even more conservative on this because I like the 65% number, even though the industry norm says it's a 70% number. So let's say it's a $200,000 ARV again. Right? This is the ARV. And I got to buy it at 65% of that minus construction costs, right? So let's say, 65% of that, I'm going to put that over here, is 130. And let's say my construction costs 30 grand. It doesn't matter what they are. They can be 30, 40, 50. Let's just say they're 50 grand in construction, right? So that means 130 minus 50 is 80 grand. That means the most I can pay for this property is $80,000. Okay, I'm going to write 80,000 right there. That's the purchase price. 50,000 is construction, right? Construction costs. Sorry for my bad handwriting in this particular case. Actually, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay. So if you add those two numbers, that's 130, right? Which is 65% of 20. You have $70,000 a gross equity. 70K gross. Okay. Well, this is going to get eaten up really, really, really quickly. And that's fine. Okay. So typically, depending on what state or jurisdiction you're in, you're going to have transfer tax, recordation tax, property taxes that are owed, title fees. We're not even talking about financing term keys at this point, just other stuff. Typically, that's like between 2 to 3% of some things are based off the purchase price, some things are based off the loan amount. Let's just say 3% of 100,000, right? So you're going to have 3 grand in closing fees right there. And then let's talk about financing. Let's say you do this deal in 6 months, right? Let's say it's a 6-month deal. Cool. Okay. So now let's talk about financing. Let's say you get whatever, 13 and 3. That's kind of the going rate for hard money, right? 13 and 3 is 13% is an annualized return, right? Or an annualized rate. So that means it's 6.5% over a 6-month term. So 6.5 plus 3 points is 9.5%. Let's just say there is a half a point of some miscellaneous fees, so it's 10% for the capital. And let's say you get a I don't know, $120,000 loan on this particular case. So it's going to cost you $12,000 in financing costs. I think that's important. So again, here's the interesting part about the financing costs. Let's say you go to a bank and it costs, I don't know, 8 and 2. Or let's say you go to like a big Kiavi's of the world and it's like 9 and 1 or 10 and 2. Let's just say it's 11. Let's say it's a 12 blend. That's probably where it'll end up being 12 blend. So that's 6% annualized, or 12% annualized, 6%. So do 6% of this. It might be like 8 grand in financing at the cheapest, right? So you're going to save a few $1,000. Maybe you get a private lender that gives you money at like 12 or 13 or 14%, no points. It might be slightly cheaper, give or take a few $1,000. But let's just say it's this. Okay. Now you also have holding costs, right? You have utility bills, you have taxes, you have insurance. Typically you're looking at a few $100s a month. Let's just say it's $500 a month between all of that stuff. So what's that so what's that? $6,000 a year. So $3,000 in 6 months for holding costs. Okay. Now you have selling costs. You have realtor fees. That obviously goes into selling costs. You have realtor fees. And then a lot of the times they're supposed, a lot of these buyers want subsidies in order, a seller's subsidy or something in order for them to cover closing costs. Let's just say they don't. And let's just say you pay a realtor 5% to sell it for you. Plus you're also going to have transfer tax and title fees on the back end. Usually that's between 1% and 1.5%. Let's just say it's 1% plus another 6% to sell, or I'm sorry, 5% to sell. So that's 6% total off 200 grand. So that's another 12,000 in costs. All right, so let's calculate all this up. So we have $80,000, which is the purchase price, the original purchase price, plus $50,000, which is construction, plus $3,000, which is closing costs. Hold on, I'm doing this on a calculator, even though I could do this in my head. 80 plus 50 plus 3 plus 12,000 in financing plus 3,000 in holding plus 12,000 in selling, which comes out to 160,000 total, right? So that's a $40,000 profit on this particular deal. Okay, so what's 40 divided by 200? I think it's 20%. Yep. So that's a 20% profit margin, which is great because most of this was using other people's money. Yes, you put down some down payment money. Yes, you made monthly payments to your lender and things like that. But that's a 20% setup. If you got higher leverage from a bank, you know, the financing cost would go up slightly, obviously. And if you got lower leverage and you put more of your own cash down, your profits would go up slightly. Point being is the target is always to get about a 20% return on these things. But I know a lot of investors that are slim and they're doing them at like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but whatever it's worth. So those are the numbers. I mean, and this is at a 65%. If you go to 70% minus construction costs, let's just do the math real quick on that. If you go to 70% minus construction costs, so that's another 10 grand higher that you would lose. So boom, 10 grand higher, you're only making 30% or $30,000 on this deal. You know, $30,000 is a lot of money, but it's also 6 months of hard work and labor, and like this is best case scenario. Like these are hard fact numbers. It's not going to get any lower than that, right? These are the hard numbers. And guess what happens? Construction costs go up. They typically do, right? You have a contingency in there, right? So let's say your construction costs go up by 5 grand. Now you're at $25,000. So you get the point. You understand the point. The important part of all of this is stick to your formula. Make sure you're buying at 70% max of the after repair value minus construction costs, and know who you are. If you're a newer real estate investor, you're going to have to work harder on the front end to find good opportunities. If you're an experienced investor and know the areas really, really, really well, you have full-time crews, you think you can get your construction done cheaper, that's fine. But you're making, you know what your profits are going to be when you buy this thing on the front end. You can't just rely on appreciation. You can't rely on, some force that's just going to say, oh yeah, all these other properties sold at 200, but yours is going to sell at 215. Like it typically doesn't work like that. Understand your numbers, understand the general rule of thumb of 65 to 70 cents on the dollar minus construction costs. Make sure everybody is doing safe real estate investing out there. If you have any questions related to this topic or anything else, feel free to ask any question below and happy to chat. If you need anything from myself or Hard Money Bankers, go to hardmoneybankers.com, book an appointment to chat with us, and happy to help you on your next deal.